Hey guys, what's happening? Dan Darrow here with another Options in Play video update. Let's get a little crazy here, right? Play on words, but today's video is going to be about the cannabis craze. Tilray is just unbelievable, and it's getting most of the attention on the street. But what we want to talk about is basically better opportunities that we see out there, option wise. So cannabis stocks are lighting up Wall Street. See what I did there? Seriously, though, the action on these marijuana names has really just been crazy. And it's super reminiscent of what happened with the crypto stocks late in 2017 or even actually like January of this year, too. You saw some of it. Uh, I'm not going to make the argument that it's a bubble because I definitely think that there's good fundamentals, but the fundamentals warrant these types of moves. I mean, that's kind of what a lot of people are debating at this point. Um, Raise the hands, who saw Tilray going from 20 to 250 to where it is right now. Uh, I can honestly say I missed it, but when you get stuff moving like this, it creates opportunities, and that's basically all we're asking for as traders, right? Opportunities. So what goes up may come down, may not come down, may keep going further. So there's always potential when you get like these crazy moves on like huge volume, gap in. So that's why even though we missed Tilray, we were screening for opportunities, and uh, let's go to the name that we're looking at. So CGC, another name, and actually this one basically kind of started started the most recent move. They signed a deal middle of August with Constellation STZ, and I mean that really lit the fire. I mean that if you want to pinpoint any single news release, I mean that would probably be it. And basically from that point, uh, CGC just took off. I mean, just a parabolic run. You could see. I mean, basically from the day it was like 25 to over 45 before it finally like pulled back. And um, it didn't pause too long. It pulled back to the 8 EMA, formed like this nice little triangle pennant, as you can see here, and then basically had like another monster leg up, and uh, that time it topped out about 55, so 55, 56 area. You can see that on the when it broke the pennant, basically it accelerated once it cleared the previous high. Um, I mean, most people over the last, maybe since September, so going back, you can see like basically since August was about CGC, and then September's been about Tilray. So as Tilray's kind of taken up the baton in the group, uh, it it makes trading for Tilray really challenging. And basically, when we were screening for a trades here, we were trying to find like decent setups, and CGC started the move, but recently has been a little bit been I don't want to say consolidating because it's still been kind of wide, but there's been a pause in the stock, and there actually was a pretty steep pullback. Uh, if we go back to Tilray, we can see like the stock is hasn't had any pause whatsoever. I mean, it's barely even tested its 8 EMA. When we were looking at options on Tilray, uh, we just any sort of trade, just glancing at the options just to see what was priced in, and just the options for next week. The straddle for September 20th expiration on Tilray right now is pricing in 100 points. So that's a $250 stock, 100 points is a 40% move for next week. So not only is like the chart straight up with huge gaps and parabolic, but the options are pricing in a 40% move for next week. So even if we wanted to do something, it just makes it so challenging because the stock, it's not a great setup, and if it ran to 350 or dropped to 150, you're basically only breaking even because the options are just the implied volatility is absolutely through the roof, like the stock. Uh, so that's why when we were screening, we didn't totally rule out Tilray, but it was just one of those things where it didn't warrant the risk, or at least to us, it didn't seem like it warranted the risk. But when we were looking at CGC, it was more attractive. So part of the appeal was that this was basically like the name that started it, and it had paused and pulled back, and it was kind of creating this next triangle pennant, as you can see. So back in August when it formed it once it took out the high, the previous high, broke out the pennant, took out the high, you can see it extended really sharply higher. So it formed this pennant, and now it's working its way up. And basically what we're looking to see is if it extends higher and takes out that previous high, because then basically what you can argue is that you get like a measured move, say like another 10% above 56 into like the low 60s, and maybe if it gets even more momentum on top of it, you can get like a mid 60s. I mean, momentum's still really strong, so you want to be bullish biased on the trade, and the thing you have to remember though with like trades like this is that if it's a momentum trade, that momentum can work both ways, right? So I mean, last week showed you like how quick the dip can come, how quick the selling can pick up and the dip can go, right? So when we look at it, we want to be bullish bias, and we think that there's still potential. With Tilray like cruising, still a lot of interest in the group. This was like kind of the name that started it. If it can get through the high, then it can extend up into the 60s. But you got to remember that, again, momentum can work both ways. So, things that are basically parabolic can come down equally as fast. So that's why, we thought a strangle was interesting because it gives you the bull side, so you can capitalize on a move into the 60s. But then, once you carry like a kind of like a downside bet, that will hopefully capture some sort of pullback. I mean, don't know the extent of it. Last week it dropped from 50 to 40 in 2 days. So depending on the extent of the pullback, hopefully like the put spread would be into play. I mean, it depends on the nature. I mean, it's more of like a staggering the strangles where you favor one side, but you want to carry a little bit of downside just in case the trade like moves like sharply against it, right? So that's why you can be bullish bias, but on the stocks that have had such huge sharp runs in a short amount of time, I mean, you almost want to carry a little bit of downside just in case the bottom falls out and then things really start to spiral. So when we were like screening, we saw like Tilray was priced in about 40% for next week's straddle. CGC, we're looking at the options. So not only is the technical setup a little bit better, but we're looking at the options for next week, and they're priced in about a 7-point move, so about a 15% swing. So Tilray 40%, CGC 15%. Tilray, parabolic gaps everywhere. CGC a little bit better technical setup. So it just seemed like there was a better opportunity on both fronts than Tilray. So even though Tilray is getting all of the attention and a lot of the volume and having a lot of the crazy moves, it just seems that there's just better opportunity elsewhere. And CGC really seemed like it was it was something that warranted more people's attention, and maybe once it gets that attention is when you start to see it play catch up a bit. Again. All of this, the thing to remember is that when stuff goes crazy like this, it creates opportunities, and you don't want to get upset that you missed it and then chase something or do something you regret. So that's why like you can capitalize on moves in the group or in the sector when stuff goes like this, but you got to be patient and wait for like good setups, because you can't just chase like the Tilray type moves higher. I mean, even though like it seems like it's going to keep going. I mean, options have gotten very, very expensive, and then the stock is pushing into like 90 RSI. So, you you can find opportunities, but you just have to look outside the box a little bit, and just be patient, right? And wait for a decent setup. And right now we feel like CGC kind of fits that bill. So as always, we'd love to hear from you guys. So please reach out. Questions, comments, definitely pass them along. Uh, Best of luck trading. Let's hope for some good action. Have a great night, and I'll talk to you guys tomorrow.